Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingles.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio. It's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. It's Monday. The last Monday for those people that are dating stuff. It's the last Monday of the Trump administration, and we're going to have a new president sometime soon. Be interesting to see how the world changes, if it does at all, as a result of that. But we have a great radio show planned for you with a favorite guest of mine. His name is always Robert Butwin. Robert and I met many, many years ago when we were doing some stuff with different trade associations, and he's got a great reputation, really hard worker, good guy. Always steers you in the right direction, just a good person. And we're also part of the SNA, which stands for the Social Networking Association, which is kind of interesting now, especially with all the censorship and all the moving around on the different platforms. But one of the things that I was referencing, Robert, or referencing on the Social Networking Association conference call, I said, there's a lot of really great people out there that need a microphone, and they do wonderful things in this industry, and sometimes people don't hear about it. So let's run a radio show where we kind of showcase and highlight some of the great things that sometimes people just don't know. So, and especially now with more people being locked down because of the coronavirus, and now we're after the holidays, so a lot of people are kind of figuring this stuff out. 2020 was what it was, and now 2020 is, or 2021 is going to be what we're going to make it. We have this radio show, and we have a great guest today. I'm going to let Robert Butwin introduce him. What usually happens after the commercial, Robert's got to run on another commitment. I usually follow up as well, and if you want to hear this all over again, you can always go to buildingfortunesradio.com and look for Robert Butwin, or look for Street Smart Business, which is the name of this radio show specifically. So having said that, I'm going to kind of step out of my own way and say, Robert Butwin, thanks for all the great things you do for the industry, for your family, and for Building Fortunes Radio. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, and I'm really looking forward to introducing the guest tonight because, first of all, he's a very special person. We happen to be on a very special day today because it happens to be Martin Luther King Day. So, obviously, there are sometimes these people just change history. And when I originally met the guest that I'm going to introduce to you in a minute or so, it's like as I started to listen to him, I knew he was somebody I wanted to have on our radio show because he's got a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom. He's got a lot of things to share. He's somebody that's really going somewhere, that's making a difference. A lot of people, when March of 2020 happened, they sort of went into a shell. Those that are proactive and really took advantage of the things going on as far as being there of service to other people are the people that are really making things happen. And with that, I'd like to introduce our guest tonight, a person that's just become a friend, and I look forward to hearing what the wisdom he has to say. His name's Marc, Cesar. Marc, thank you for joining us and making a difference with other people. So with that, Marc, it's all yours.
Thank you, Robert and Peter, for the opportunity to be able to be a guest on your show. I truly appreciate the gesture. And everyone, my name is Marc Cesar. I am basically based out of Brooklyn, New York, and I encountered Peter through a networking event. I presume the name was Speed Networking. And it was actually very interesting because I'm not typically the average networker, so to speak. I typically shy away from networking, but this year I decided to, take a leap of faith and just dive in and see what's out there in this big old world and, connect with like-minded individuals. And, Peter stood out from the crowd. I love the moniker to his name, I'm sorry, Robert, my apologies. I love the moniker to his name, which is, Robert, we do everything but win. So that stood out to me, and I definitely had to connect with him and just pick his mind and learn about what he does and, sort of see how I can bring value to him as well, vice versa. So I appreciate that. Well, to my nature, as far as what I do on a day-to-day basis, I am a multifamily investor. So I specialize in apartment syndications, and I am currently working with I'm helping other individuals out there who are busy professionals and who look to alleviate their time and the time constraint that they face on a day-to-day basis through their jobs, and who are looking to earn, positive cash flow and, have have the freedom to do what they want. So I assist individuals of nature to understand the whole mantra behind passive income, passively investing and earning returns, earning the cash flow benefits, as well as the tax advantages that come with investing in an apartment in the asset class of apartments. And it's a new journey that I recently pivoted into as of 2018. It's a journey. I really love it. I've learned a lot from the coaching and the mentorship that I've undergone and the people that I network with on a day-to-day basis. I truly love it. And another aspect, area that I've been nurturing is public speaking. And I think that's where Robert and I actually really saw eye to eye. And I've never perceived myself as a public speaker. It's a brand new avenue for me, and I just love to encourage people. I love to, hold people accountable to their goals and what they're aspiring to be. So I'm sort of like a motivator, so to speak, where, whenever someone asks me to be an accountability partner, I love to, motivate them, find a way to challenge them, and so they can bring the best out of themselves and surpass their whatever goals they're looking to achieve. And in that, I guess I started finding my voice, and I'm always posting different content across my social media platform that's related to mindset, growth, and the positive thinking, the law of attraction. Those things I've nurtured over the last couple of months, and I've been a big advocate for positivity in the mind and achieving your goals, thinking positively, where you can actually eventually grow into being a successful human being in whatever field you're in. And I'm starting to find a passion in doing that. And actually, again, I'm learning to find my voice. And this is actually a brand new opportunity for me. I would have never thought in many years where I've actually be asked to speak on a radio show or a podcast. And it is it's new territory, new waters, and I'm just looking forward to, learning and looking forward to sharing my wisdom, looking forward to connect and just grow in this field and see where these waters lead me, basically.
Mark, let me jump in for a second, because I remember the first time that I ever spoke in front of a group of people. It was like I went down to a company event, and somebody called me up to speak, and within 30 seconds of me being up in front of a group, my knees buckled, my eyes were back into my head, and ultimately the guy had to come and bail me out. So, the way you continually do it is exactly what you're doing. And for every entrepreneur, it goes back to what Tony Robbins talks about, constant, never-ending improvement. It's how we focus on in perfecting our skills. So you're doing just a fantastic job.
Thank you. I mean, I truly believe if we were more so in person these days, I think I would be a little timid and shy, and my knees will be buckling as well. But I know how to rebound from things like that. I know how to connect with people. I know how to sort of reach people in the audience and get them make them interact with me to sort of steady the playing field and just get through my presentation and so forth. But right now we're in this virtual space. It's new territories for everyone, and I think it's actually a great avenue, because it actually gives you that comfort. Now you're in your own backyard, you're comfortable in your own space, and you don't have the gleaming lights and the big crowd staring at you. So I think it makes it a little easier, alleviate the pressure that one would feel when they're actually standing in front of a crowd and addressing a large folks of people. So I'm grateful for this platform for the time being.
Super. Well, you're doing a good job, and so share with us some of the key things that you've learned as far as, obviously we all had to pivot, and you're doing a really good job of pivoting. So why don't you share some of the key things that you've learned so far?
Sure thing. Well, through networking, I've learned to connect with people genuinely, and I don't see that too often when I actually used to attend networking events. Everyone is out there. Most people, well, I won't say everyone. Most people are out there to get for self. So there's really too many people aren't looking to add value. And that's one thing I've learned throughout my tenure in my line of work is to learn to find a way to add value to others before they can add value to you. And I live by that mantra. And I truly believe that what you pour out is what you're going to get back. So, if I encounter somebody on, through my networking events or something like that, I will always tell them, hey, let's see how our synergies align. Let's see where I can add value to your team. And I've had a lot of people who stopped and who were shocked that I've actually, said that to them, because most people who approach them, they're looking for something and they're not willing to pour the value. And I just want to pour value into people, see where I can help them on their team, see where I can, alleviate some pressure from them. And in the result, as they're succeeding, they will in return pour into me, and I'll be able to get what I need to get to that next level in my journey. And I find that very important. And I also learned that the quality of your network, you want to deepen your network. And I actually learned that from you, Robert. It was when you said that, it actually stood out to me, and it was very profound, because it's one thing to connect with people and, just move on, but to actually deepen your network, to actually deepen that connection and that rapport that you're building with one individual that you've connected with, it can change your demographic in your life drastically, because you're actually taking time to know the person. You're actually taking time to become relatable with the person. You're actually taking time to understand what the person is trying to do, where they're trying to go, their goals and their vision. And in that journey, now you're no longer becoming a networker or a client and or someone who's helping, but now you're becoming a friend. And as when you become friends with someone, they're willing to pour into you. They're willing to give you whatever you need to succeed. And I truly practice this every day nowadays. After you said it, Robert, I truly practice it, where I find ways to deepen my network, to see, okay, outside of building value, what else can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I help you get to that next level? What can I do? What can I take off your plate that will help you focus on your strengths, and I can take on whatever you're weaker at, being that I'm stronger at it, and I can help you advance. That's a big thing for me.
Yep. You hit the nail on the head, because this is one of the mistakes that many of the people that are out networking make. All they're thinking about doing is pitching. All they want to do is try to make a sale. They're thinking about me. But if you flip the me upside down, you get we. And if you focus on how you can serve people, obviously, and I know we've all heard that saying that there's a direct relationship to your net worth and the value of your network. So there's two ways to increase the value of your network. Either you can go out and find the right person, or you can bring more value to the people that are already in your network. It's coming from a service mentality rather than what can I sell you. We all want transactions, but if you focus on, getting to know the person, like the person, developing trust, and being of service to the person, you're going to be a lot more effective.
I totally agree. I truly agree. And that's one thing that I've learned through networking courses that I'm taking, and how to, present yourself. I've also learned to make sure you're retaining information about the person. Make sure that you're actually listening to the other party that you're networking. It's one thing, as you mentioned, it's always about me, and it's never about we or how can I. And I've actually took a course a while back on MentorBox. I think the gentleman's name is Patrick Lee. He's a master networker. He used to be the founder of Rotten Tomatoes, and I've learned a lot from him. And he teaches that when you're actually meeting someone, you want to retain a lot of information about what the person is saying. So when you're talking to someone, you want to actively listen, learn things about the person, and whenever you can, take notes. And after that, when you go back to the person, you can receipt you've heard. So that actually shows that individual that, hey, he or she listened to me. He or she paid attention then I can actually, have a sit down with that person. And it's not all about us. It's all about that person at that time being, and hearing them out, learning from them. And basically from there, the relationship and the rapport building can take place. So I truly agree with what you said, Robert.
Yep. And you hit a couple key points. First of all, listening. But, it's like, if I'm not mistaken, don't you play basketball?
I used to.
Okay. Well, I know in
days.
Basketball quite often you take a look at some of these, top coaches, and it's like they want you to pass the ball like 2-3 times before somebody takes a shot as far as a norm. It's like in networking, you want to ask 2-3 questions before you even have the possibility to segue into taking it to the next level. The more that you can do your exploration, the more you can ask the right questions in relationship to what they're saying and based on listening, the more effective you're going to be. And another key thing that you just said is mentor box, which somebody just mentioned that to me, and I started taking a look at it. It's like I think about how I created the success I created over the years, and one of the key things was the person I've become because of the information that I plugged into. In MentorBox, if you're not familiar with it, it's mentorbox.com. It's Ty Lopez's company, and you're able to plug into like 10,000 books for like $59 a year. It's so, if somebody's serious about being successful, it's, I really believe it's easier today than any other time in history because you've got this technology, and it's just learning to connect with people. So, with that, why don't we go for a quick break, and then we'll continue with you, Mark, when we come back from the break.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to Building Fortunes Radio. If you sell a product or service, then you should check out PM Marketing's NetworkLeads.com. Just visit www.networkleads.com. For over 18 years, PM Marketing has helped distributors build their home-based businesses through lead generation, website development, automated email delivery systems, and sales training. If you're looking for a way to increase your skills and increase the number of people that see your product or opportunity, NetworkLeads.com can help. To learn more, visit www.networkleads.com. Ask about their lead management system, capture pages, personalized websites, MLM training, humongous blogs, the humongous classified ad network, Building Fortunes Radio, or their webinar schedule. NetworkLeads.com can be your one-stop shop for everything you need. And now, back to our show.
And we are back. Peter Mingles here with Robert Butwin, who is a friend of ours, and this is his own radio show. We call it Street Smart Business, with a gentleman who is from Brooklyn, but is part of my own stopping grounds. His name is Marc Cesar, and we are talking about building those home-based business entrepreneurial relationships that are so important, and kind of busting out and kind of getting out there and making sure you're networking with the right people. So, Robert, back to you. Robert Butwin is here, but he might have to go. So if Robert isn't picking up his microphone, I'll give Robert another second or so.
Peter, I'm going to let you take it home, and you and Mark can finish up the show.
You got it. Thank you very much. So, Mark, you said 2018 started to do some stuff with real estate. I know you're in Brooklyn. You said something about apartments. I'm guessing that many of the apartments you're dealing with are probably in an urban area like that. And then all of a sudden we have coronavirus. So part of the things with entrepreneurs, especially based on the background of the network that you develop, if you have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs, they can help you make the necessary adjustments that you need sometimes to be able to try to figure out, how do I do this now that I'm not able to do what I used to be able to do in 2018, now in 2020 with this whole coronavirus thing. It really has probably either made or broke some people in their businesses, and specifically, I got to guess, real estate, specifically, and maybe even apartment owners. So can you talk to us about how the coronavirus might have affected your business and what you're doing as an entrepreneur to make those pivots that you need to?
Sure, Peter. Well, just a quick background. I actually started in real estate in 2015, and after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I'm pretty sure a lot of entrepreneurs have read that book. It's a great book. And I decided that real estate was the end-all be-all, and I started out as a wholesaler where I would pretty much just find houses that are, that are blight to the eye, and would get equitable rights into it and sell it to a rehabber and so forth. And again, I decided to pivot in 2018 to multifamily. And as you mentioned, coronavirus happened. No one predicted it. And it definitely has taken a toll on a lot of homeowners on the residential side. But as far as apartments are concerned, I think it hasn't taken that much of a toll, in certain areas. So I know New York, the Bay Area, and those major cities are, they are taking a slight hit because with the whole CDC rent moratorium and so forth. So a lot of people are, taking advantage and not paying their rent with that law and that system, so to speak. And I'm not sure if it's going to get any better or if they're looking to sort of segue out of that. But I would say more so those investors, like most of the suburban areas, like the Floridas, the Carolinas, and so forth, I think we're actually doing pretty well. We might have a case here or a case or two where you run into buildings or assets where people aren't paying their rents and so forth. So we as investors, we're trained to look for ways to solve a problem, basically. So with that being said, if we're experiencing high vacancies, we will typically try to get concessions in place, which is giving tenants some kind of incentive to rent from us, and from there we'll build that relationship and keep them as long-term tenants. But we're always looking for ways to solve a problem. That is the entrepreneurial way. There's a problem out there. We're the experts in our field. We want to find a way to solve that problem to make people, to make life better and people's lives better. And as we all know, people always need a place to live. People will always need a bed to sleep in. So I don't think the apartment business is going anywhere. I don't think it's going to get drastically affected by COVID and what's going on. Maybe a few laws might, tweak the playing field a little. But I think if investors continue to educate themselves and know exactly, what to do and how to create a solution for whatever problem they face, I think investors will actually always capitalize and get on top. It's just a shift in the mindset.
Well, and I'm not an investor and I'm not involved in real estate, but from the things that I've read, it seems like real estate seems to be one of those industries that are on an upswing, meaning like, house prices are going up, rents are going up. And although there's the challenges associated with COVID that I don't completely understand when it comes to people either having to pay or not pay their rent or be evicted or not evicted, in a healthy environment, I think it's a pretty strong industry, and a lot of people are probably going to be moving around a lot. So there's probably lots of opportunities for people like yourself to be able to take advantage of that ever-changing market that might be shifting one way or another. Have you seen some of the trends of people maybe leaving states that are more urban, like New York City, and moving to maybe more open spaces? Have you seen anything like that, or is that not necessarily some of the things that you're running across?
Great question. I have seen it in my own backyard, and I think it started after, I would say I would use New York as an example. I think it started after the city started shutting down, where people, businesses started, becoming obsolete, doors were closing and so forth. So, these individuals started pretty much picking up and going more towards the suburban areas. Like they were going to the Carolinas and the Floridas. And I think it's the big proponent to that is those individuals who, whether they're in the banking world or they're in the tech industry, these businesses were actually able to fully go remote. So with that being said, some majority of these individuals in those spaces were able to pick up their salaries and their jobs and bring those salaries over to an area where the cost of living wasn't so high. So, I would use, let's say, Florida for an example. Certain areas in Florida where the cost of living isn't the same as an area as of New York or California or San Francisco. So if you can pick up and carry a salary, the same salary you'll earn in those major cities into a more rural urban area, you get a better bang for your buck. So I definitely did see a lot of people, a lot of businesses are actually open up shop in more of those rural and suburban community areas. I was actually doing listening to an interview with a gentleman in my space named Neil Bawa. He's driven by numbers and stuff like that, and he was actually speaking on the fact that a lot of these major corps, they're actually opening their hubs now in rural and suburban areas, so they're no longer in the downtown of a major city. So that's very interesting to see, and I definitely look forward to see how that actually opens up these sub-markets and these secondary, tertiary markets out there.
Excellent. So can you do what you do from home? Like, can you be a real estate or apartment real estate investor from home without traveling in basically a lockdown status?
You can definitely do it from home, but it will require some traveling. I mean, for the most part, everything falls on teams. So I preach big about teams. Teamwork always makes your dream work. I'm sure it sounds cliche, but that's the motto that goes out there. And it's all on who you have on your team. So being that I'm from New York, I typically look for deals and assets in the southeastern part of the United States. And I typically cannot, I'm a family man, so I can't really just get up and, jump on a plane and go to Florida or North Carolina to see an asset. So I will leverage, someone who's actually out there. If I know someone out there, I will leverage them. Hey, can you go check this asset out and let me know what you think? Send me some pictures. So you definitely can do it. But eventually, as you get into the progression of your transaction, you will physically need to go there and actually see what you're looking for. Because, again, it's so many moving pieces that are tied to what you're doing. So you want to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. So I would say, yes, you can do it from home, but at a certain point you will have to get up and travel and do some work, some of that work.
Excellent. Okay, good. Well, as we're getting towards the end of this, how would people get in touch with you if they wanted to learn a little bit more about what you do and become part of your team?
Sure. If you want to reach out to me, I'm definitely very active on LinkedIn. The name is Marc Cesar, MarcCesar. You can find me there, and you can connect with me there. I'll be glad to respond back. I actually take time to respond to my messages and so forth. I'm also on Instagram, Mr. Success 50. That's Mr. Success, the number 50, and also on Facebook. My name, Marc Cesar. You can definitely find me on there. And feel free to reach out if you just have questions, if you just want to chat. I'm always open to, again, I love networking. I'm always open to meet new people and like-minded individuals as well.
Excellent. So we're going to make sure Marc has a guest page on Building Fortunes Radio. BuildingFortunesRadio.com. Click on guest. Look for Marc Cesar. That's Cesar, Marc with a C, and you'll be able to pick up his contact information from there. Marc, thanks so much for being here. We're going to cut this before we get cut off, and we're going to catch everybody next time on Building Fortunes Radio. Thank you so much, and thanks for helping us kick off a great new year. We'll see you next time, everyone.
Thank you. You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on BuildingFortunesRadio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingle. Be sure to check out the BuildingFortunesRadio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.